Ownership from the second you wake up. You don't need an alarm clock. You need a reason. The second your eyes open in the morning, you are faced with it and drift back into comfort or rise with purpose. Winners, the ones playing this game at the highest level, don't negotiate with the morning. They don't snooze. They don't delay. They don't wait to feel like it. They take command, because how you start your day is how you own your life. And let me be blunt, if you're hitting the snooze button, you're rehearsing procrastination, you're training your brain to put off life. Think about it. What kind of message are you sending to yourself when the first decision you make every morning is to delay? You're programming hesitation, you're installing self-doubt. Every time you postpone your rise, you're declaring to the world and to your own nervous system that your comfort is more important than your mission. That's not how winners think. They treat that first breath of the day like a call to arms. It's not about waking up early just for the sake of it. It's about waking up with ownership, with clarity, with energy, with the decision that this day belongs to me. They don't let circumstances dictate their attitude. They don't let outside noise take control before they do. The moment consciousness hits, they step into the driver's seat. The engine is on, the road is clear, and the only thing between them and the life they want is how fast and how fiercely they move. That's the first critical distinction on winners decide how they feel. They don't wait to feel good. When the alarm goes off, their body might be tired, but their mission overrides it. Their purpose is stronger than their pillow, and that's the difference. The majority waits for motivation. The few, they manufacture it. Now, let's talk about identity, because this isn't just about tactics. It's about how you see yourself. Do you see yourself as someone who attacks life or someone who waits to be told what to do? Because when you open your eyes in the morning, you're stepping back into character. The question is, what role are you playing? The champions, the millionaires, the impact makers, they don't see mornings as a chore. They see them as a launch pad, a ritual, a sacred space where the weak version of them dies and the powerful version is born again every single day. That's not poetic. That's a necessity, because life will throw chaos your way. The world will try to pull you in 100 directions, but when you own the morning, you create your own gravity. You become the force, not the effect. Ownership doesn't begin with a checklist. It begins with a decision. The decision to interrupt the old pattern, to rise before the sun and say, I lead. It doesn't matter if you're tired. It doesn't matter if it's cold. You condition yourself to show up anyway. That's how mental dominance is built. Not when it's convenient, but when it's difficult. Because if you can conquer your bed, you can conquer anything. Most people underestimate the cost of giving their morning away. They wake up and immediately scroll, react, check messages. What are they doing? Giving the steering wheel to someone else. Surrender to the world's agenda before they've even defined their own. That's not neutral. That's dangerous. That's how dreams die, not with a bang, but with a slow, comfortable decay that starts with just 5 more minutes. But the ones who get it, the ones playing on a different level, they seize that first moment, they get up with intensity, they hydrate, move, prime their mind, lock in their outcomes, not because they feel like it, because they've made a decision to own their life one day at a time, one morning at a time. This isn't about being perfect. This is about being powerful. You don't need to wake up at 4 a.m. to win, but you do need to own whatever time you do wake up. Ownership is about showing up with intention. It's about deciding before the world touches you who you are going to be that day, not react to the day, creating it. And here's the truth. Every morning is a vote for the future you're building, a vote for the kind of person you're becoming, a vote for your identity. And identity isn't something you say, it's something you do over and over until the world knows exactly who you are. And more importantly, you know who you are. The bed might feel warm, the world might be quiet, but in that stillness, there's a fire, a choice, a moment where average dies and greatness is born. And it's not dramatic, it's not cinematic, it's subtle, internal, but absolutely critical, because that choice compounds. That decision builds momentum, and that momentum becomes your life. And it all begins the second you wake up. Prime the mind. Don't let the world infer the first few moments of your day are not just minutes on a clock, they are sacred real estate. They're the foundation for everything that follows. Winners, the elite performers, the people who shape industries and shift cultures, they understand that the mind is not some passive receiver of the world. It's the command center, and if you don't grab the controls first thing in the morning, someone else will. Most people open their eyes and instantly surrender. They reach for their phones. Notifications, headlines, messages, noise. Before they've even stood up, their emotional state is hijacked by other people's priorities. Their attention has already been sold. Their nervous system is in reaction mode, responding to emails, scrolling through other people's highlight reels, absorbing stress, urgency, fear, comparison, all before breakfast. That's not living. That's existing on autopilot. That's how mediocrity starts, not with a huge failure, but with a quiet leak of personal power. But the greats, they do the opposite. They prime their minds like warriors preparing for battle. They don't let the world in until they are fully in control of their internal world. They start their day by choosing how to feel, how to think, how to show up. They know that your emotions don't come from your circumstances. They come from your focus, your physiology, your beliefs. And the morning is when you lock that in. Not someday, not when it's convenient, every single day. Priming the mind isn't about wishful thinking or pretending everything is perfect. It's about training your nervous system to respond with power, clarity, and strength. No matter what's happening externally, that means doing the work before the world gives you a reason to feel good. You breathe deeply and intentionally because it brings you into your body. You express gratitude, not because life is easy, but because you understand the power of perspective. Gratitude isn't soft, it's strategic. You cannot feel fear and gratitude at the same time. One cancels the other. Gratitude shifts your state. It creates a psychological edge. It tunes your brain to opportunity instead of threat. Then comes visualization, not faded dreaming. Specific, vivid, intentional rehearsal of your future. Winners see it before they live it. They mentally rehearse how they want to feel, what they want to achieve, how they'll respond when challenges hit. That's not fantasy. That's neurological training. Your brain doesn't fully distinguish between what's real and what's vividly imagined. So when you rehearse success with intensity, your brain wires for it, your subconscious aligns with it, you begin to expect, and that expectation changes how you act. And it's not just about what you see, it's about what you say. Affirmations, they're not just words, they're declarations of identity. And identity is the root of behavior. When you say, I am focused, I am powerful, I execute with clarity, you're not hoping, that's not weak language. You are speaking into existence who you've decided to be. Your nervous system hears that. Your decisions start aligning with that. And over time, you build the internal certainty that winners carry into every room, every deal, every challenge. This process, this mental conditioning, it's not optional. Not if you want to win at a high level, because the world is coming for you. Distractions are coming. Resistance is coming. Doubt, fear, pressure, it's all waiting. The question is, will you meet it from a place of power, or will you let it define you? Most people don't lose because they're not talented or smart enough. They lose because their mind is untrained. They've let the outside world control the narrative. But if you own your morning mentally, you write the script. You decide how you feel. You control the meaning. And meaning is everything. There is a world of difference between reacting to life and creating life. Between absorbing energy and generating it, between being controlled by your thoughts and being the one who chooses them. And it all starts with that first decision. Do you check in with your inner world, or do you hand over the keys to the chaos outside? When you wake up and choose to prime your mind before you connect with the world, you're not escaping reality, you're engineering it. You're deciding that your emotional state will not be the result of circumstance, but the result of discipline, that you don't need permission to feel strong, centered, or capable. You decide to feel that way. You manufacture it, you breathe it into being. You generate it through motion, focus, and intentional language. That's what mental priming is, the daily ritual of leaders, not followers of creators, not reactors. Of those who know that mastery begins in the mind, not when the sun is up, not when the emails are in, not when the world gives you a break, but the moment you rise and declare who you are, before the world even gets a chance to whisper who it thinks you should be. Move the body, move the energy before success shows up in your bank account. It shows up in your body. Energy is the foundation of everything, and energy is motion. Winners know this. High achievers don't just manage time, they manage state, and your state starts with your physiology. If you want to feel powerful, focused, resilient, you don't wait for those feelings to show up. You create them. And the fastest, most immediate way to shift your internal world is to move your body. The body is not separate from the mind. It is the mind in motion. Most people try to think their way into action, but winners act their way into clarity. The second they wake up, they don't drift. They activate. They understand that energy is not something you have. It's something you generate. And physical movement is the switch. It's not about doing a full gym session or chasing some aesthetic goal. It's about flipping the internal power circuit from off to on. The average person rolls out of bed groggy, hunched, dragging themselves into the day like a victim of their own life. And what do they expect? To dominate? To show up as their best? No chance, because when your body is in a loud power posture, your mind follows. You can't feel unstoppable in a slouched frame. You can't feel decisive if you're moving like you already lost. Posture isn't cosmetic, it's communication. It tells your nervous system how to feel, and it tells the world how to treat you. When you stand tall, when you breathe deep, when you move with intention, everything in your system aligns to that standard. That's why high performers start their day in motion. It doesn't matter if it's 10 minutes or 60. It doesn't matter if it's jumping jacks, push yoga-ups, sprinting, dancing, walking. What matters is that the body is engaged. Blood is flowing. Breath is expanding. Muscles are firing. That is how you shake off sleep, shake off stress, shake off stagnation. You're not just warming up your body, you're turning on your ambition. The moment you break a sweat, something shifts. It's primal. It's chemical. Your brain lights up, endorphins flood your system, cortisol drops, focus sharpens, confidence builds. That's not accidental, that's physiological design. Your body was built to move, and when it does, your mind becomes lethal. You stop second guessing and start executing. You stop reacting and start commanding. That movement gives you. It's not just fitness, it's a power ritual, a daily recalibration of strength, of presence, of self-leadership. There's a reason champion first thing in the morning. It's not just discipline, it's strategy. It anchors them into their identity. It reminds them before the world says a word that they are capable of pain, of effort, of power, that they don't avoid discomfort. They initiate it. That's a psychological trigger. It sets the tone for the rest of the day. I lead, I push, I endure, I win. You want clarity, move. You want confidence, move. You want to feel unstoppable. Don't wait for motivation, get into motion. Because the second your physiology changes, your story changes. You go from, I don't feel like it, to let's go. You go from foggy to focused, from tired to tapped in. And that transition is everything. Stillness first thing in the morning isn't peace, it's paralysis. Movement is momentum, and momentum is power. You can feel it in your spine when you finish that last set. In your lungs when you finish that run, in your heartbeat when it's pounding like a war drum, reminding you that you're alive and that you're in control. This isn't about building a better body, it's about building a stronger life. When you command your body, you command your state. When you command your state, you command your decisions, and your decisions create your destiny. It all ties together, but it starts with the body, with motion, with energy. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need a gym. You don't need 2 hours of free time. You need a commitment to move, to breathe, to step into the power that's already inside you. Because energy is not something the world gives you. It's something you summon, and it's already there, waiting to be activated by motion. When the body is sluggish, the mind is scattered. But when the body moves, the mind sharpens. You stop surviving and start attacking. You stop doubting and start creating. You step out of fear and into certainty, not because you had the answers, but because you chose to change your state. And it doesn't take long. Just a few minutes of focused, intentional movement is enough to shift everything. To go from passive to powerful, from waiting to initiating. You don't need to be an athlete. You need to move like someone who's alive, like someone who owns their space, like someone who refuses to let low energy steal another minute of their potential. And feed the mind like a beast. If your mind is the most powerful weapon you have, why would you let it starve? Why would you wake up, go through the motions, react to life, and expect to dominate without giving your brain the fuel it needs to win? High performers don't just feed their bodies, they feed their minds like beasts. Every single day, no excuses, no gaps, because they know this one truth in your life will never grow beyond your mindset. The mind is like a muscle, and just like the body, if you don't train it, it atrophies. It becomes soft, reactive, easily influenced. But when you feed it intentionally daily with powerful, focused input, you sharpen it into a weapon. You sculpt a mindset that doesn't flinch under pressure, doesn't fold when life gets messy, doesn't retreat when things get hard. You build resilience, clarity, precision, and that is what separates amateurs from elite. Most people spend more time picking out breakfast than they do choosing what they feed their brain. They let garbage in by default. News, gossip, complaints, distractions. They wake up and plug their minds into negativity like it's normal, like it's harmless. But it's not harmless. It's mental poison. Every piece of content you consume, every voice you allow into your head, every message you absorb, it's either conditioning you for power or programming you for mediocrity. There's no neutral. It doesn't matter. It always matters. Winners treat their mind like their edge, because it is. While the world sleeps, they're learning. While others scroll, they're studying. They wake up, and before they let the chaos of the world in, they go internal and feed them truth, strategy, and growth. 10 minutes of a powerful audiobook, a chapter of biography that speaks to their future, a podcast that breaks down 6 habits, influence decision-making. This is not entertainment. It's mental conditioning. And it's not just about information. It's about identity. Every time you listen to greatness, you are aligning with it. You are absorbing the frequency of excellence. You're hearing how winners think, how they handle setbacks, how they push through fear. And the more you hear it, the more you start to live it. Not because you're copying, because you're upgrading your mental environment. That environment becomes your internal dialogue. And that internal dialogue becomes your behavior, and your behavior, that's your life. You've got to ask yourself, what voices are shaping your mindset? Whose ideas are you letting in the front door of your mind first thing in the morning? Are they empowering you? Are they challenging you? Are they pulling you toward the highest version of yourself? Or are they numbing you, distracting you, keeping you safe and small? Because what you feed your mind is what your life will reflect. Garbage in, garbage out, greatness in, greatness out. There's a difference between being informed and being conditioned. Winners are not obsessively consuming everything. They are strategic. They curate their inputs. They know that 5 minutes of deep, powerful insight from someone who's lived at the edge can shift more than an hour of shallow content. They know the goal is not more, it's better. Better questions, better thinking. They don't just read, they study. They don't just listen, they absorb, and they apply. Because information without action is just noise. But when you hear something that resonates, that hits your gut, and you integrate it into how you live, now you're evolving, now you're growing, now you're turning input into results. This habit, this ritual of feeding the mind, becomes part of who you are. It becomes as natural as brushing your teeth, because you realize that a strong mind is not a luxury, it's a necessity. It's how you handle the storm, lead the room, close the deal, walk into uncertainty and still deliver. The battlefield is not out there, it's in your head, and the way you win that battle is by training your mind with relentless discipline. When you feed your mind with power first thing in the morning, you don't just feel better, you think differently, you perceive differently. You make faster decisions, better decisions. You stop reacting to problems and start creating solutions. You stop shrinking from challenge and start moving through it with force. You don't need motivation, you're self-powered, self-fed, mentally armored. You become the source of momentum, not the seeker of it. And here's the truth, success doesn't come to the most talented. It comes to the most prepared, the most focused, the most mentally locked in. And that preparation starts every morning, not just with coffee or protein, but with high quality, high impact mental nutrition. Because while others are letting their environment shape them, the few are feeding their minds like beasts, building a mindset so sharp, so trained, so unshakable that the world has no choice but to respond. And laser focus on the top outcomes, clarity is power. Without it, you dread. With it, you dominate. The difference between those who crush their goals and those stay busy but go nowhere is the ability to focus. Not on everything, but on what matters most. Laser focus is not about doing more, it's about doing what actually moves the needle. Winners know that success is not about being busy, it's about being strategic. That starts with locking in. First thing in the morning on the top 3 outcomes that matter most for the day. Most people confuse motion with progress. They cross off tasks, respond to emails, check boxes, attend meetings, and by the end of the day, they're exhausted but empty. They were in motion all day, but they didn't advance. They didn't build, they didn't lead. That's because they didn't wake up with intentional clarity. They let the day pull them in every direction like a leaf in the wind instead of deciding where they were going to go and planting their flag in it. That's not how winners, new elite performers, the ones who actually build something real, whether it's wealth, legacy, impact, they start their day by asking, what are the 3 outcomes today that matter most? Not the 30, not everything that comes up, just 3. The power is in the constraint. Because when you narrow your focus, you heighten your execution. When you eliminate distraction, you create space for depth. And depth is where greatness lies. It's not in doing 100 things with mediocrity. It's in doing a few things with mastery. These outcomes are not just tasks. They are commitments. They are the non-negotiables. They are the things that, if achieved, would make the day a win regardless of the chaos around them. This forces discipline. It forces you to think strategically. You stop reacting and start choosing. You stop being a manager of tasks and start being a leader of outcomes. That shift changes everything. This is not about time management. This is about energy management. because time is limited, but energy is a choice. And when you direct your highest energy toward your most important outcomes, your results compound. You move faster, you get more done in less time. You stop feeling overwhelmed because you're no longer scattered. You're surgical, you're relentless, you're effective. It's easy to get lost in low-level work because it feels safe. It's predictable. It gives the illusion of progress. But the top outcomes, they usually require courage. They usually involve uncertainty, risk, challenge. They're the phone call you've been avoiding, the idea you haven't launched, the pitch you haven't made, the thing that deep down you know will move your life forward, but you've buried it under less important tasks. That's where clarity destroys comfort. That's where focus becomes a weapon. When you zero in on the top 3 outcomes, you also create a filter. You know what to say no to. You know what to delegate, delay, or delete. You stop being pulled by other people's agendas and stay locked in on your own. You protect your time, not with boundaries made of guilt or fear, but with clarity so strong that anything less than priority feels like a distraction. The psychology of this is powerful. When you decide on your top 3 outcomes, you create a mental frame for success. You give your brain targets to hit, and when you hit them, you build momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence builds consistency. And consistency is the engine of results. It's not about motivation, it's about mastery. And mastery is built one focused, outcome-driven day at a time. You also start training your identity. You stop being someone who reacts and start being someone who executes. Someone who doesn't need permission or ideal conditions. Someone who gets clear, gets moving, and gets results. That identity shift bleeds into everything. How you walk into meetings, how you lead teams, how you make decisions, how you carry yourself. Because when you know your outcomes, you move different. You move with purpose. You move with fire. You don't owe the world your time. You owe it your results. Your outcomes are your legacy in motion. They are the proof of your discipline, your vision, your standards. And when you get them done consistently, they create ripple effects for beyond the task itself. They build businesses. They transform relationships. They elevate your value. But only if you choose them. Only if you lock them and go after them with absolute precision. This isn't about perfection. It's about intentionality. Every morning before the noise hits, before the world demands your attention, you pause, you look forward. You ask, what are the 3 most powerful things I can execute on today that will move my life forward? What will make today a win? What will close the gap between where I am and where I want to be? And once you have them, you commit not with hesitation, not with doubt, but with intensity. Because the clock is ticking, the world is moving, and your goals are waiting for a version of you that is no longer interested in being busy, but obsessed with being effective. Fuel with intention. You can't expect to perform like a machine if you're fueling like a dumpster. The truth is, how you treat your body is how you train your mind. Winners understand that energy isn't just physical, it's strategic. They don't eat just to survive, they eat to dominate. They know that what they put into their body affects how they think, how they feel, how they make decisions, how they handle pressure. Fueling isn't about vanity or aesthetics. It's about performance, clarity, and control. The average person reaches for comfort in the morning, sugar, caffeine, heavy carbs, something quick, something easy, something that numbs the fatigue instead of solving the cause. And that choice, it sets the tone for the day because your physiology doesn't lie. If your system is crashing by 10 a.m., if you feel foggy, bloated, slow, that's not a motivation problem. That's chemistry. You've hijacked your own peak state before the day even begins. You've traded power for pleasure, and now you're wondering why you can't focus, why you're snapping at people, why your willpower is gone before lunch. High performers don't operate that way. They start their day knowing that food is fuel, not filler. They understand that what they put in their body either sharpens the edge or dulls it. It either gives them fire or fog. So they make intentional choices, not rigid, obsessive, neurotic choices, but intelligent ones. They feed for energy. They feed for clarity. They feed to be at their best because that is the standard they've chosen to live by. It starts with awareness. Awareness of what your body needs to function at its highest level. Everyone is different. There's no one-size-fits-all plan, but the principle is the same. Eat for performance. What makes you feel light, strong, focused, alive? What keeps your blood sugar stable, your mind sharp, your body ready to move? What supports the intensity of your vision? That's the standard. Not taste, not habit, not convenience. Fueling with intention means you choose foods that serve you, not sedate you. This doesn't mean perfection. It means ownership. Ownership of your inputs. Because once you own the fuel, you own the fire. You stop being a victim of cravings and start being a commander of energy. And when you command your energy, everything shifts. your decision making improves. Your confidence rises, your stamina increases. You don't ride the roller coaster of highs and crashes, you ride a wave of steady, clean, powerful momentum. The best in the world understand that you can't afford to start your day in a chemical hole. You can't afford to be at war with your body while trying to conquer your goals. Every bite you take is a message to your system. It's either saying, let's go, or let's shut down. It's either aligning you with strength or with sluggishness. In a world that rewards speed, focus, and consistency, sluggishness is a silent killer. It makes you slow, scattered, soft. You can't execute at the highest level with the engine of a lawnmower. You need the fuel of a jet. This also means hydration. Water isn't optional. It's vital. Most people are walking around in a state of low-level dehydration and don't even know it. Their joints hurt, their mind drags, their sleep suffers, and they think it's just stress. But it's not. It's neglect. And the body is a high-performance machine. You don't put soda in a Ferrari and expect it to run clean. You don't skip oil changes and expect peak horsepower. You treat your body like the instrument of legacy it is. That's how winners think. And food isn't just physical. It's emotional. What you eat affects your state. The gut is the second brain. There's a real biochemical connection between your digestive health and your mental state. You want to feel more confident, more grounded, more stable. Look at how you're fueling. Look at how you're starting your day. Are you anchoring your mind with powerful, clean fuel, or are you setting yourself up for volatility? Because every emotional breakdown has a physical trigger, and if your blood sugar is crashing, your patience is gone, your cravings are hijacking your discipline, then your goals don't stand a chance. Fueling with intention is an act of self-respect. It's how you say to yourself, I matter, my mission matters, my energy matters. It's how you eliminate excuses and raise standards. It's how you break the cycle of self-sabotage and step into a rhythm that supports your greatness, because greatness doesn't come from willpower alone. It comes from structure, from alignment, from the invisible systems that shape how you show up. You don't wait until you're burned out to pay attention to food. You don't wait until your body breaks down to start fueling it properly. You decide now, you build the habit now. You create the ritual now, because once you do, once you start fueling with purpose, with precision, you intention, you lock a new level, a level where energy isn't scarce, it's self-generated, a level where focus is natural and what is not forced, a level where your body becomes your ally, your engine, your asset. Identity ritual, remind yourself who you are every single morning before the world gets a vote, before the stress kicks in, before distractions creep through the cracks. You must remind yourself who you are. Not who the world told you to be, not who your past tries to convince you that you are, not the weaker version that shows up when you're tired, uncertain, or overwhelmed. You have to reconnect with the version of yourself that you were designed to be. That's not motivation, it's identity. And identity is what drives behavior. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your identity. You fall to the standard you believe about yourself when no one is watching. You fall to the image you've internalized in your mind and body. And if that image is fractured, foggy, passive, or weak, no strategy will save you. No vision board, no planner, no hustle tactic will fill the gap between where you are and where you want to be if you haven't decided who you are at the core. Identity isn't an idea, it's a decision. And decisions must be made daily. That's where the identity ritual comes in. It's not a cute affirmation. It's not surface level self-talk. It's a deliberate recalibration, a reset, a remembrance. It's about taking the reins back on your mind and body and declaring the truth of who you are before the world tries to assign you a role every morning in the quiet before the noise. This is the moment to claim it, to speak it, to breathe it, to become it again and again and again, because the truth is life will try to wear you down. The world will try to reduce you to your failures, your flaws, your fears. Your mind will replay moments where you hesitated, where you missed, where you broke. But those are moments, not identity. Moments are feedback. They are the resistance that builds muscle. But your identity is not built from the past. It's built from your choice, and the choice must be made daily. If you don't remind yourself who you are, life will try to convince you that you're something less. Winners don't let the environment shape their identity. They shape their identity and then shape their environment. They begin their day rooted in who they've decided to be. They repeat, they write it, they breathe it into their nervous system. They move their body in alignment with it. They rehearse the identity of the person who can carry the mission. They don't just know it in theory, they feel it in their physiology. It's in their voice, in their posture, in their pace. They don't wake up hoping to be strong. Decisive or disciplined, they wake up and activate that version of themselves on purpose. This isn't about pretending. It's about aligning with truth. It's about stripping away the noise, the fear, the doubt, and stepping into the version of yourself that has always been there. Underneath the excuses, underneath the stories, underneath the pressure, that version is built. That version is sharp. That version is fierce. But it only shows up when you do the work to remind yourself, to ritualize the remembrance. It might be standing in front of a mirror, looking yourself dead in the eye and saying, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. This is what I do. It might be writing the traits of your future self in a journal every morning until it becomes a mental tattoo. It might be saying it out loud as you walk, as you train, as you push through discomfort. I am focused. I am unshakable. I am the kind of person who finishes. And the more you speak it, the more you reinforce it. Not for the world, but for you. Because you are always listening to you. This isn't about ego. This isn't about pretending to be perfect. This is about reclaiming your agency. You don't need to be flawless to be powerful. You don't need to be fearless to take action. You just need to be rooted in identity strong enough to carry the weight of the life you are building. Every dream, every goal, every challenge, it demands a version of you that can handle it. And if you're not consciously becoming that version every morning, you'll unconsciously slip into the default, into patterns, into doubt, into old limitations that no longer serve you. When you lock in on identity, decisions become easier. You don't need to overthink what to do. You know who you are and you act accordingly. That's the power of alignment. You train your system to respond like the person you say you are. You stop negotiating with weakness. You stop tolerating the habits of your old self. And even when it's hard, even when the storm hits, when the pressure rises, when the path is unclear, you don't fold because your identity is already anchored. You're not trying to figure it out. You're just acting in integrity with what you've already decided. It's not about intensity once in a while. It's about consistency and identity. The most dangerous person in the room is not the loudest. It's the one who knows exactly who they are and doesn't waver. That level of self-possession doesn't come from luck. It's forged in repetition. It's the product of a ritual, not because it's convenient, but because it's required. Required to lead, required to grow, required to evolve. And every morning is the proving ground. Every morning is a chance to choose again, to rise again, to align again, because when your identity is locked in, your behavior follows. And when your behavior is consistent, results become inevitable. And it all starts with that moment of stillness, that pause, that choice to remind yourself before anything else who you are. When you own your morning, you own your life. The way you start your day is the foundation upon which everything else is built. Winners don't wake up and hope to have a good day. They create it intentionally, relentlessly, and without compromise. It begins the second they open their eyes. With ownership, clarity, energy, discipline, and identity, they don't let the world choose their direction. They move with purpose before the noise, before the demands, before the chaos. They prime their mind, feel their body, move their energy, and lock in on what matters most. Every action is a declaration. Every ritual is a commitment. Every moment is a step into the life they've decided to live. Because success isn't an accident. It's engineered. And it starts every single morning. So rise with intention, lead with purpose, and never forget you were born to win. Thank you for being here, and go make every morning count.